event. We have asked everyone to join us at 7, so let's just honor the time and let people make their ways to our YouTube live channel, Dominican Writers sponsored, as well as Poets and Writers sponsored event. Amanda Villanueva sends her heart and her spirit to us. She cannot join us today, but we still put her beautiful face in the flyer. And I'm sure that that allowed more people to gravitate to this event because, of course, she is a powerhouse of a poet. So this is your chance before we get started, poets. It is your chance to make sure that you have your water, your hydration, you have your poems on deck to share with everyone. And yeah, just like, I don't know about you guys, but before a recorded live event, I usually like to just wiggle my fingers and, you know, the cheesy part. It's the teacher in me, right? It's like, this is happening. This is really happening. So I'm sure Angie is well aware of how cheesy and corny I am. So I am not shy at all at doing this. So hydration on deck. And we are going to get started, poets. So we have about a 2-minute countdown of getting started and having all of this magic happen today. I am super excited about today's event. Anyone else feeling super excited? You can unmute yourself, poets.
Super excited and a little bit nervous.
Freaking out. How about you, Elinor? How are you feeling?
Also, yeah, a mixture of nervous and excited, but mostly excited, trying to stay excited.
Thank you. And Sutherland, how are you feeling?
I think everyone said it perfectly.
So as we're leading towards the top of the hour, which during our workshops, we would start our top of the hour with a writing prompt. If you all remember, I really miss our Sundays together. That was really a beautiful series of 6 workshops in the fall that really centered sort of at the start of the week for us, right? Around our writing and our voices. And we would begin the workshop at the top of the hour with a writing prompt. So that was totally a beautiful experience. So at the top of this hour, I want to basically let out a nice woosah. And I get to moderate this and introduce each of you. And basically for everyone to know, we are going to go in the order that everyone is listed in the flyer, every picture. So we're going to basically start with Sutherland and move our way to Raven's poetry, along then with Elinor, and wrapping up with Maciel. Okay, so that is the order of today's event. And we're all going to take our time to just share so much of the beautiful work that either you came to the workshop with and sort of, you know, revised or polished or said to yourself, yes, I'm ready to share this, or maybe some of the work that you generated during the workshop. So buenas noches a todos. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Dominican Writers Craft and Release a Performance event today, Sunday, February 27, 2022. We are broadcasting live on the Dominican Writers YouTube live channel, and this event is sponsored by the Dominican Writers as well as Poets and Writers, a phenomenal organization that funds the arts and writing and everything that's beautiful about voice. So without further ado, I am going to stop sharing my screen and tell everyone a little bit about the Craft and Release workshop. So in the fall of 2021, we basically gathered about 11 of us on Sundays for 6 Sundays. And we came together to focus on both generating poetry, but also fine-tuning our work and getting ready for what it is to release our words into the world, either through publication or through reading. So this event is an appendix to the workshops, right? It's an opportunity for some of the writers, and not all the writers are here. So kudos to everyone who was part of this workshop, couldn't make it tonight, but is here in spirit. We feel you and we carry your hearts with us, right, ladies? We had such amazing other poets. We had Amanda, we had Beth, and so many, Andrea, so many other people that joined us and couldn't be here today. But here we have 4 amazing poets, and you're going to be sharing your poetry with us. I just can't wait for this. So just to let you all know about a bit about me, I am Sydney Valerio. I am a mixed genre writer, more of like a prose poet. And I am really, really humbled and honored to serve my community in the capacity of facilitator of writing workshops and also an educator. So I actually wanted to start today's program sharing a poem published by the Dominican Writers Association, their latest anthology of Ni de aquí ni de allá. I don't know how many people have picked up a copy, but as you can see, I have 2. I have one for the bookcase, one for the classroom, and tons of classrooms are actually using this. I believe there are CUNY courses that are using this as a reader. So it's so awesome to just order it. Make sure you visit Dominican Writers and get your copy. So this is fresh off the presses. I have not read this in public yet. So I'm just gonna kick it off just to like warm up the stage for the poets of tonight. This poem is entitled Women from La Línea. And my family is from a part in the Dominican Republic called La Línea Noroeste. So I am fully Dominican. If you look at my 23andMe, my genetics have been in DR for like 5 generations, 6, 7, 8 generations. And we come from the border of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So this is about womanhood, about what has been brought down through the generations and what it means to be a woman in this lifetime. To come from La Línea in DR means to come from the line, and what they mean is the border, and border towns exist as the boundary drawn between 2 countries that share an island full of syncretized roots and families, full of bodies constantly scanned by one another, constantly trafficked, and generationally trapped in line and in movement. Women from La Línea see their bodies with the same laser focus men use. And by the time they reach a ripe state in adolescence, naturally wide hips are questioned about when they will carry a baby. By the time they hit 25, they better have a man and a family plan, or their agency and their currency runs dry like El Rio Jaque during summer months till winter and patronales arrive, and bodies swell like the river's bank. Women from La Línea include my young aunt, who was introduced via a lineup of pictures to the husband who paid for her surgeries after giving him 2 kids. And he first looked at her while sitting at a barber shop in the Bronx. Pick by pick, he said to my father, "Sí, ella está buena, esa es la mía." Women from La Línea are said to be wild, said to be always in heat, always ready. And Johnny Ventura wrote a whole song entitled Me Tiene Enredado, about how the women from Castañuelas are difficult in the daytime and stick onto men in the nighttime. They are ingrates who then latch on like fleas on dogs. They latch on and men twist onto them like snakes. And Johnny Ventura is an icon of merengue. And that's what he had to say about women from Castañuelas. He sang this when Mama was in her 40s and Mama had 13 children, 9 were women. So when the eldest daughter decided to leave to New York City, I can see how Mama supported that trip, and Tia never had children. In New York City, Mommy was raised in Harlem at the height of the 70s, and the Dominican culture came to New York City too, and lines of drugs, lines to the clubs, became part of their reality. As a woman in New York City, Mommy could be married to someone in DR for them to get their papers. And yes, when I was 16, like ritual, Mommy asked me, and still holds a grudge because I refused. She'll play it off like she doesn't know what I'm talking about, but I learned at that age how to draw a line between my mother and me, learned to create that generational break of a cycle. And it's a twisted line, a boundary between mother, land, and me. one that is necessary for me and my daughters to untwist and liberate our lineage. Thank you. Thank you. So once again, you can find that in Ni de Aquí, Ni de Allá, an anthology published by the Dominican Writers Association, full of so many other beautiful voices from the Dominican diaspora. So up next, we have Sutherland Jaramillo. And Sutherland Jaramillo, if I could just share with everybody your bio for a second. Hi, Sutherland.
Hello.
Hello. So Sutherland Jaramillo is a writer and educator born in San Joaquin Valley in California and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She holds a BA in Spanish and a master's in Spanish Hispanic Southwest Studies from the University of New Mexico. Her poetry has been published in Chamisa, a journal of literary performance and visual arts of the Greater Southwest. Her writing explores connection, grief, loneliness, and spirituality. Welcome, Sutherland.
Thank you. I'm super humbled and honored to be reading alongside such skilled and really inspiring poets. I am here to read, but really I'm here to listen and to just be in the company of some really amazing writers. So thank you for having me. So the first poem I'm going to share two today. The first is titled Dear, the Time Is Now. And this was generated in our 6-week workshop in response to a prompt about the power of writing and contemplating what it means to write. And a poet teacher I admire immensely gave me the advice to never explain or analyze my own poems when I write or talk about them, so I'm not going to do that. But instead, I do want to share what comes to mind when I think about this particular piece, which are the words revision and evolution. So the process of, getting my writing onto paper and then playing with form and language, and being a writer in dialogue with my pieces. So this poem reflects on the layers of creating. Dear, the time is now. Impact. Consider the cat, the one scratching on the door in the middle of the night, never in search of food, always in search of embrace. Reasons. Consider calloused heels on the cracked tile of the bathroom floor, the cold toilet seat beneath tired skin. Hesitations. Consider the crack in the window of the spare room, the sound of fissures, and the anticipation of the shatter. Desires. Always considering the overripe pomelo on the grass at grandma's. Conflicts. Consider the slice of week-old birthday cake in the fridge, the mold and crust of excess and disintegration. Create. Fall asleep to the sounds of words spilled, shed for you. Dead and only resurrected in the minds of those who know themselves sleeping, like automaton, experiencing love for the first time, too. And so the second poem that I'm going to be sharing is titled Querida Mai, Letter to My Mothers. And this piece was generated before the workshop and was originally written in Portuguese. And during the workshop, I was able to translate it and rewrite it, and it took on a completely new shape, going back to that idea of process and play. And so the word that comes to mind, or the words that come to mind as I reflect on this piece, are cycle, flow, honoring past through present, and through journey. So I'm going to share this piece with you now. Querida Mai, letter to my mothers. Isabel Maria Oliveira, Isabel Joaquina de Lemos, Maria Eusébia, Josefa Rosa, Josefa Joaquina de Acevedo, Maria Rosa, Maria Cândida, Ana Victrino, Rita Mendes Silva, Justina Cândida do Coração de Jesus, Rita Mendes Silva, Ana Jacinta de Freitas, Maria Miguelina, Jacinta Umbelina Soares, Mary Lopez Silva Inácio, Mary Inácio Costa, Lenora Louise Costa, Melanie Raquel Costa, Isabel Maria Oliveira, Isabel Joaquina de Lemos, Maria Eusébia, Josefa Rosa. Each syllable rhythmical contractions beneath sunlight on blue afternoons. Josefa Joaquina de Acevedo, Maria Rosa, Maria Cândida. Each pause, pursed lips, ready tongues cradled to swallow, brown grounds laced with notes. Ana Victrino, Rita Mendes Silva, Justina Cândida do Coração de Jesus. Each vowel vibrations from the viscous mouth of a calf sucking their fingers. Ana Jacinta de Freitas, Maria Miguelina, Jacinta Umbelina Soares. Each consonant the knuckle kneading of Baldozzi on mornings lit only by lingering moon. Mary Lopez Silva Inácio, Mary Inácio Costa, Lenora Louise Costa, Melanie Raquel Costa. Each letter a memory forgotten, a moment lived and lived again in me. Thank you.
That was so beautiful, Sutherland. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your voice. Some people on the YouTube channel watching live were like, the listing of names though, oh my goodness. And definitely Maciel, we were in agreement, like your voice is so soothing, Sutherland. You did such a beautiful job. Thank you. So up next, we have Raven S Blackstone. Let me tell you a bit about Raven. Hey, Raven. Let me tell you a bit about Raven. Raven earned her BA and master's in English literature and creative writing. She describes herself as part Lolita Lebron, part Lois Lane, and was born in the boogie down to Dominican parents, but raised in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Hey. She is a former teaching artist and protest poet known as Mestiza, who has performed at CUNY schools and other local venues, including the Cornelia Street Cafe, East Harlem Cafe, Camaradas, and the Bowery Poetry Club. She has been featured in several Dominican women writers fairs for her work in poetry and prose. She's the founder of the Live Poet Society, which she created to organize spoken word events. She's also the editor-in-chief for Bushwick Media, which she established to publish writing by and about women and people of color, starting with the Period Project, an anthology on menstruation in 2011. Her articles and essays have appeared in several publications. Her first novel, Guerrilla, Childhood is Warfare, was published in 2022, followed by a collection of short stories titled Entre Mujeres, Among Women, in 2023, that will be coming up. And that publication debunks Latina female archetypes. Her next book is a coming of age story, and it's slated for publication in the fall of 2026. And sources very close to the author have hinted that the title of that new explosive work is Men Are the Devil and Other Things Mommy Taught Me. So Raven, we are so happy to have you share with us. How are you?
I'm okay. You guys are still awake after all that?
Nena.
I thought I said something a little shorter than that, but thank you. That's me. I'm here.
It is okay. So we are ready for your poetry, Raven. Share. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Like Sutherland, I've also been told to not explain my poetry, but I'm a malcriada, so I never do what I'm told. First of all, thanks, Sydney and my fellow poets for creating such a powerful community. This has been such a wonderful experience and a great way of coming back to something that I love. My first piece is about beauty standards. So growing up, there was a lot of pressure to change ourselves into what people who didn't look like us had decided was beautiful, and for the purposes of getting a man. Unfortunately, now in the time of our daughters, not much has changed. And in fact, it's probably worse because technology has rendered our children more accessible. They're getting hit with these negative messages 24/7. In any case, during the craft and release workshop, Sydney introduced us to How to Look at Mexican Highways by Mónica de la Torre. And so ever since then, I have been obsessed with the list poem form. So it inspired me to write this sarcastic piece about the mixed messages we women of color continue to receive about our beauty and our worth, both in our homes and in the world at large. So here's How to Get a Man. The world says you will never get a man. No one will ever love you. If any men approach you, it's only because they're trying to get in your pants. It's not your fault. Everyone knows that men are only interested in one thing. Your education, intelligence, talents, and personality are irrelevant. Focus on the superficial changes that Eurocentric magazines, fake influencers, and colorist beauty vloggers insist have worked on men in the past. Brazilian butt lifts, or hair manipulation, rice water or castor oil, or standing on your head, or other obscure rites and recipes to stimulate hair growth. Or relaxers, extensions, wigs, dyes, faux locks, anything to camouflage your unsightly natural state. Or fake lashes, painstakingly laid to rest on your eyelids like the carcasses of black widow spiders. Or injections made from the tears of oppressed women in some unnamed third world nation and whose existence you can't relate to. Or made from poisons ordinarily reserved for other equally domesticated animals. Exercise, even as you hear this. Never eat. Join the sisterhood, get absorbed into the fold, bask in the din of self-hatred of the crowd that targets those within and without, that echo chamber of 1,000 merciless voices drowning yours out. Compare yourself to everyone else and rejoice in that you will never measure up. If you start to lose hope, don't look in the mirror, go on the internet. Find out what other unhappy women have done. If they are unattractive in a different way, learn from their mistakes. Surrender. None of it matters because the world says no one will ever love you, so you will never get a man. The experiences of other women reflect your own struggles. Find a sense of belonging. Men hate you, you hate each other, you all hate yourselves. Get lost in that crowd, make yourself at home, embrace failure. Beauty is pain. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so, well, that was great. So 2020 and 2021 had a lot of us taking a close look at our lives and evaluating our priorities. So you know that person who keeps coming in and out of your life? Tu adorado tormento? Just when you think you're over them, you get that text message at 2:00 in the morning. And 2 days later, they're missing in action again. And it's hell because there's no reason you can't be together except for, well, their issues. Yeah, so this next piece is also a kind of list to remind you, no matter how fine you think that person is, of the bad feelings that that love-hate dynamic inspires and why it will never work. It's kind of an obituary, a final love letter, a way to block them in your head and in your heart, the way I hope you've already blocked them on your phone and in social media. So here's antithesis. We are the bad memories existing in the creases of old greeting cards, that treasure trove of emotion buried in the lines of stamped but unsent letters, the distorted reflection in the jagged pieces of a dirty window, the unresolved trauma in the moth-eaten fabric of a hand-me-down sweater, a roadmap tattooed on a broken spine, a frantic call for help whispered in an indifferent ear, that pound of flesh carved out of my lower back, an escape plan etched in braille across your cold, dark heart, a reading of the soles of our feet that cannot predict where we're headed, but only recount who we've been. We are, my love, the death of romance, tears, forgiveness, and regret. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Raven, you have the chat on the YouTube channel live. La gente dijeron bravísima, amazing, go sister, preach. And for that second poem, Raven, your intro itself was a poem. I mean, that was an intro poem. That was like intro / poem. Beautiful job, Raven. Thank you so much for sharing those 2 poems.
Thank you.
And you're most welcome. Up next, we have Elinol. Hola, Elinol.
Hi, hola.
Hola. So let me tell people a bit about you, Elinol. So Elinol is a reader, writer, and researcher from Washington Heights, New York City. She loves consuming and creating art and has always turned to creative writing as a way to explore and integrate her various interests. Elinol was a writer and performer for The Title Self, a collaborative performance essay of film, text, and music, which featured readings and musical compositions set to clips from classic film at SUNY Geneseo's 9th annual Great Day Symposium. Her poem on trying to unlearn the things we know appears in Geneseo's Mint magazine in the spring 2015 issue. Most recently, her short story, It Becomes Me, was published by the Digging Press. And not only was it its 2021 Editor's Choice winner, but it also was nominated for a 2021 Pushcart Prize. So way to go, Elinol. Elinol obtained her BA in mathematics with a minor in psychology from SUNY Geneseo in 2017, and she is currently doing environmental health research at Columbia University. So Elinol, share your poetry with this woman.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I feel really grateful to be part of this awesome group. And I will be sharing 2 quick poems today. This first one that I'll be sharing, it's called Free Stuff. I wrote it after This Is What Makes Us Worlds by Joshua Jennifer Espinosa. And it was generated through the workshop prompt that asked us to sort of explore the ways that community and our own individual self is sort of connected and coming in and out of that sort of space between the micro and the macro level. So I will start. Okay. 6th grade, 2007. Once a month, mommy wakes us early on a Sunday. We slurp cup noodles and bustelo, brush our hair, bundle up, and take the A all the way downtown, con un carrito. Crammed in a park con más gente than ever, going farther than we've ever gone, to the part of the city with glass towers and yellow cabs. We scurried through crowds of cashmere and cologne to stand by a cobblestone on a line made of madres, padres, and hijos, con carritos y frío, waiting for the door to open. Adentro, it is warm. On the table, there are toys and libros, y los niños corren and each cogen dos, while the adultos stay in line, esperando su turno. Inching the carritos forward as uno a uno, they're handed bags with tin cans and rice, pan, leche, manzanas, papas, y los conflays sin azúcar. That was free stuff. And then this next poem is called Ode to Garments. And I wrote it one day when I was avoiding cleaning up my closet. So I thought I should be appreciative of the things that were in there. So here it goes. Stuffed in my sturdy gray laminate wardrobe stirs a chaos of cloth. Those bundled borders between body and all matter beyond it. Hard bone, skin, and meat, plastic, and rubber that vie to invade it, averted by those fluffy fabrics that hide it when it's cold and hug it when it bleeds, when it wants those dainty drapes that drop to reveal from matter to revel in its vulnerability, guarded by those tangled threads, a burgeoning forest of lavender, French vanilla bean, sweet pea, apricot, and peach scented garment, of pastels, of velvet, of cotton, of violet lace, of lilac silk. There, in those pink and white waves of braided ribbon, stirs a chaos of comfort. It's there.
Oh my goodness, Elinor, that was so beautiful. That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
A beautiful ode. People in the chat are saying, oof, hug it when it bleeds. Somebody called you a truth teller with a big heart, a huge heart. And Wanda says, oh, I remember. So thank you for sharing that, Elinor. And you know, we're already up to our last poet. I just can't believe this. I can't believe we're up to our last poet. Maciel, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Good, good.
By the way, everyone's performance was amazing. Loved it.
Thank you. Maciel is a Dominican writer, author, and spoken word poet, born and raised in Uptown Manhattan. Her poetry explores topics such as love, heartbreak, trauma, loss, and self-love. Handful of Poems is her first collection of poems. In her book, she uncovers the aftermath of a broken heart and toxic relationships she's encountered throughout her young adult life. Maciel wants to inspire those whose voices have been silenced or believe their stories don't matter. She writes to find her voice and to inspire you to find yours. She is also a member of the Dominican Writers Association's Writers Salon. And Maciel, before you read, can you let us know about your book? Can you let us know how things are going? Any kind of information so that we can definitely support?
Yes, of course. So my book is in the last and final stage, very close to production. Hopefully in April, I should have it in my hands and hold it again. This will be the second edition of my book. I'm really, really excited, and I just can't wait to like hold her. Like, you know, when you're giving birth, like you're waiting for the baby to come out. Like, that's me. I'm eagerly waiting.
Well, we're super excited for you, Maciel, and thank you again for showing up today and sharing your poetry with us. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me. And I thank every poet that's here today for sharing some space with me. It really is an honor to also be borrowing your ears and listening to your amazing pieces. So the piece that I'm going to share today is called Over. This specific piece was not written in our workshop, but the next piece was. So I'll just go right into it. You broke my heart, and I still cooked you breakfast. You made a feast from me, and because I loved you so much, I let you feast on me over and over again. You broke my heart, and I still gave you access, gave you mad sex, let you learn me until you knew me so well, you would use me. You saw right through me, and you knew I loved you deep. You had never laid next to passion until you laid with me. You held me like I wish my father would. Did you know that? Was that the reason you only held me like a breath? Were you following in his footsteps? Was it written in a book somewhere, directions on how to make me love you and hate you? You broke my heart, and I still slept next to you as if I had no clue, as if I wasn't thinking of her when I looked into you. What did you see that I couldn't? Did you break it because you knew I loved you so much that I would love you even with all of those pieces? Did you break it because you knew I would write poems about you? Did you break it because you wanted to live inside the pages of my book over and over again? Thank you. That was Over. Sorry, guys, I'm blushing. This is so.
I'm sorry, ese desgraciado necesitaba 3 pasitos en ese desayuno.
Someone had to say it, right, Raven?
So it's gonna be me.
All right. Okay, this next piece is called Niña. It was written in the craft release workshop. It was the prompt where we had to look at a picture. So I had originally written a piece, but then I went to a retreat a couple weeks ago, and this was like birthed from me revisiting some prompts. So I'll just dive right into it. This poem is about my mom, and it's called Niña. Me imagino que tu niñez no fue libre, que mamá y papá no entendieron lo importante que era ser niña. I wonder who Papa hugged and who that person hugged before him. I wonder if they feared love so much, they preferred not to give it. I wonder how the streets of Mocha City danced in the 70s. I wonder if kids kissed cuando se iba la luz, a lo escondido. Love me a lo escondido, so my mom won't know, and so Papa won't kill you. So that love was kept a secret, so that you can learn to kiss girls in the dark, make them feel special in the dark, hold them in the dark, but not mention any of it in the light. You didn't know me in the light. You didn't learn me in the dark. I was just la rubia con el pajón, los ojos marrón, como el café o el concón, y un aroma que te abrazaba a despedirse de ti. Thank you.
Maciel, oh my goodness, these two poems. You've got the chat going live and fire over here. There's just like fire signs all over the YouTube chat. Lines like made a feast of me from the previous poem. Lines like only held me like a breath. And of course, somebody mentioned the Trepasitos, Raven. But al encondillo, you know, everyone's saying fire. So that means that everyone, when Maciel drops her information again as we wrap up, we have to make sure we support Maciel and her new collection, her new edition of her collection of poems. Maciel, I'm so glad that, you know, you were able to go back to your writing, right? And you know, this stemmed from a prompt from the workshop, but it's just so important as writers that we give our writing distance and return to it. And look how beautiful of a poem you birthed, woman. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this. Everyone, thank you so much for sharing your poetry. Sutherland, kicking us off, Elinol, Raven, and Maciel. This has been such a beautiful moment. I totally want to allow any people who are currently with us, if you have a question for any of the writers, put it in the chat on YouTube Live. I have a little window open. I can ask them the question. So we'll take a couple of questions if anyone has a question, but definitely I'd love to start with Sutherland. Is there any way that you would want people to follow you or support you? Anything that you want to share with us, or are you still in the process of becoming, right? It's okay to still be in the process of becoming, right? So if you want to share something, you can share at this moment. People in the chat have said that they've subscribed to this channel to come back for more. I definitely suggest everyone watching us, don't just come to this channel, definitely go onto the website of Dominican Writers and go to the writer salons, right? Maciel, that happen every Sunday. If you wanted to speak to the writer salon, Maciel.
Yes, everyone is welcome to join. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. We have a blast, and a lot of amazing and cool poems are definitely birthed during this time. If you're like me that doesn't like to wake up early, I promise you it's worth your time. Like I the first 2 Sundays, I was like, ugh, 11 a.m. It's my extra day. But then as I started joining, it just became tradition, like my class, my community. So if you have the time, definitely join.
Yes, thank you, Maciel. And it's virtual, right? Since COVID started, it's been virtual. And definitely you can find out more information on the Dominican Writers Instagram and support as well, the Writers Salon, as well as other workshops that the Dominican Writers sponsor. So Craft and Release was one of many different workshops that are offered through the Dominican Writers organization. So definitely join a workshop for the intensive purposes of carving out time for your voice, right? It doesn't have to be that you're ready to publish already. It could just be you want to dedicate time to just writing in a scheduled form. But circling back to Ms. Jaramillo, is there anything that you'd like to share?
I think, you know, I'm still writing, still revising.
Thank you, Sutherland. Thank you for your honesty and also your voice. Like, we are going to follow you and support you whenever you have anything brewing and ready to be released. Send it to the Dominican Writers so that we can blast it and share with our whole community, okay? Sutherland, thank you so much. Elinol, is there anything you wanted to share?
No, I mean, I'm on Instagram. It's just my name, Elinol Lopez. Sometimes I'll post a poem there. But I'm gonna try to start attending the Sunday workshops. So if anybody wants to connect there.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And you know, how can you find out about the workshops, Maciel? If somebody's interested in the workshops, how do they sign up?
You can go to dominicanwriters.com under workshops. You should be able to see the Sunday workshops. And once you RSVP once, then as long as you save the link onto your calendar, then it's the same link every Sunday. So you don't have to like keep re-registering.
Awesome. And they can sign up for the newsletters too, right? Because I know the newsletters, I receive them in my email and I'm like, yes, this is happening.
You definitely want to sign up to the newsletters. Definitely. They always post amazing workshops or sometimes even submissions of like different places you can submit your poetry to.
Thank you. And Raven, is there anything, I know in the bio, we heard a lot of things are brewing. So what is the best way to remain in contact with you and support you?
I am trying to get back on Instagram, but everything that I have is either named after Bushwick or named after me. I'm not incognito, I'm using my government name out there. So I'm on Instagram as Raven_S_Blackstone, but I've got to get back on there. I just don't post as much. I'm on Facebook too, but you know, that's for them old folks.
You got to reach everybody in the community. And thank you so much, Raven, for dedicating time to every layer of voice that resides in you, right?
Thank you.
It's so important that, you know, so many of us go into academia or we go into different social spaces in society and our voices sort of take that back seat. So I'm really happy to hear that you're like pushing forward and pushing through and making sure we enjoy that voice of yours. Maciel, I am rounding up with you and I've shared in the chat your website with everyone, macielalfonso.com. Anything else you want to share with us?
Well, thank you for sharing my website. So yes, you can place your orders for my poetry book there. I just wanted to take the time to say thank you so much to everyone again, and especially Cindy. During your workshop, I definitely gained so much confidence in my work and just really challenging myself to write and write more from the heart and less of like thinking so much about it while I'm in the moment, just enjoying the beauty of just sitting down and writing, which is sometimes really hard. But your workshops, I do miss your workshops so much. It's like every Sunday I'm like, it's like not there anymore. I was really looking forward to this open mic. So I was like a little bit scared because it kept getting pushed back, but the day finally came and I was super nervous, but super excited. And I loved everyone's pieces. Sutherland, I can like listen to you all night. Like, you know, like the Calm app, I felt like I was using it, but for poetry, which is so dope. So thank you everyone for sharing your pieces. And yes, thank you so much, Sydney and Dominican Writers for the creating the space.
Well, thank you, Maciel, for your kind words. I really feel like people say, I want to build community, but we have to be in community with each other. And I'm paying attention a lot to that language these days and what it means to be in community. And it's super important that you give back. So I really feel like each of us that are on this screen, you don't know what you carry that somebody else can feel empowered by, right? So thank you, Maciel, for sharing that. And I just ask that you pay it forward. I just ask that you find ways to show up for your community and do things for your community and other writers, because we got us, right? We need to really support each other and our voices. So thank you so much to everyone who tuned in and was living it up in the chat. I loved it. I love seeing the YouTube chat. I know we were busy doing poetry here, but you girls could also return to the YouTube and look at it later. And once again, a huge shout out to poets and writers for sponsoring this event and many others in our community. And of course, to Angie Abreu and the Dominican Writers team, who are like doing amazing things for our community and making sure that spaces are created, filled by us, and led by us. So super important for us to support the Dominican Writers. And I hope that everyone has a beautiful Sunday evening. Goodbye.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much.